You would think buying land would be much easier than buying a house, right? There's a lot less to inspect. The truth is, buying land has a lot more risk, and one mistake can cost you thousands of dollars. Even worse, the land could be garbage and you won't be able to do anything with it. Stick with us as we go through some of the biggest mistakes people make when buying land. First, research. You want to understand the zoning laws, the environmental factors, or any restrictions the land can have on it before you purchase it. This can save you a real headache down the road. You'll also want to talk to the building and development permit to understand the zoning laws and make sure that the zoning is in fact going to allow you to use your property for what you're purchasing it for. You see, if the property is zoned commercial, there's a good chance you won't be able to live on it. And if it's residential, you won't be able to run a business off of it. There's also zoning laws to where if you find a 1 acre lot that's in a 20 acre zoning parcel or zoning area, you won't be able to build on it. So really contact the county and make sure you understand what the zoning code is for that lot. When you're also inquiring about the zoning codes, you'll want to make sure to understand the building requirements. See, if you're putting a home on a lot, each county is going to have certain setbacks from the property lines. You're also going to have rules on what your driveway needs to be, your setbacks to your well, your septic. Working with a good experienced builder can help you map this out and understand which floor plans will work on which lots. You'll also want to make sure that you're researching whether or not this property is in a flood zone. You see, there's a lot of land in central Washington that you would think would be high and dry, but FEMA has marked it and it's a 100-year flood zone. This will really impact your insurance rate. Speaking of insurance, you're also going to want to make sure that you contact your insurance agency to make sure that the home can even be insured. You see, there's a lot of homes here in the area where their insurance rates have doubled. Some people have just altogether lost their insurance due to fire risk. Get a quote and make sure you can get insurance. Next, let's talk about soil tests. Now, this isn't always needed, but it's highly recommended in Chelan and Douglas County because at some point there's a good chance the land was an orchard. And you want to make sure that there isn't any residual contaminants left in the soil from this. It's also a good idea to check any properties that you think may have been used as a junkyard or have had any type of chemical on it. If you're responsible for that chemical cleanup, it can be very costly. Once you understand the zoning laws and you know the dirt's good, you're going to want to also investigate if you can get utilities to the property. So these are utilities such as water, sewer, power. There's a couple of ways to go about this. We'll start with water, since in most rural areas, there's a good chance you're going to have a well. In order to drill a well on the property, you need to make sure that you have water rights or that you can use the water that's underground. Now, these water rights, they really vary from county to county, and it's really important that you're working with an experienced agent who knows the area. For instance, Kittitas County has color-coded the land green, yellow, and red, and that tells you how easy it's going to be to get water rights. Some pieces of land will have water rights already attached to them, and others you'll have to purchase. Depending on the water bank that is attached to that land, buying water can cost anywhere from $10,000 or more. You'll notice that land in the red zone in Kittitas County is much more affordable because getting water rights is very risky. In other words, the county is telling you you probably can't. Now, just because the land is in the red zone, it doesn't mean never ever. You might have a chance, but you're going to have to work with the EPA, and this can take up to 2 years and is still a maybe. The drilling company that you choose will charge you for the size of the pipe that you're going to be drilling with and the depth of the well. Pipes can be anywhere from 4 to 8 inches in diameter. And knowing the depth is a little bit more of a guessing game, but a reputable company that has dug other wells in the area will have a good educated guess. You can expect to pay anywhere between $5,000 and $60,000 for a well. You see, some wells in Chelan County are over 500 feet deep, and that can really add up. Once you have the well dug, there's going to be additional cost to put in the pump and the system to get the water up to your home. If you are buying land along the Columbia River, it is highly recommended to use the larger casting. You see, over 15,000 years ago, the Great Missoula Flood pulled boulders down the Columbia, and there's a good chance you're going to hit one when you're digging your well. Once you've dug the well and everything's in place, you're going to want to do a bacteria test. By taking a sample of the water to the county, they can test and let you know if your water is safe to drink. This is something that should really be done on a yearly basis. A lot of communities that are planned developments in Kittitas, Chelan, and Douglas County, a lot of them have some sort of water system or a community well, and you'll just need to go through their permitting and fee process to connect to them. The next is septic. It is highly recommended that when you're under contract to buy a piece of land to do a perk test. This will cost roughly $1,000. It is out of pocket, non-refundable. A perk test is when somebody comes out and tests the soil of the land. They are evaluating if the ground can absorb water. If the property doesn't perk, your septic options have become much more expensive. There are a few companies in Central Washington that can do these perk tests for you, as well as engineer your septic design. Now, the size of your septic is very important and will determine the occupancy of your home. If you're planning to build a 5-bedroom home, you want to make sure that your septic meets those requirements. If your septic is only designed for a 3-bedroom home, your home will always be called and sold as a 3-bedroom home, so no cutting corners here. With permitting, design, installation, and materials, septic can run anywhere from $10,000 to $60,000 plus. This all depends on the complexity. Although you don't have a monthly bill when you have septic system, it is very important to maintain it and treat it well. This means you need to be careful on what you're putting down your drains. If you clog one of the holes in your drain field, it can be very expensive to replace. Septics also require ongoing maintenance, which means it needs to be pumped every 3 to 5 years. This will cost roughly $400 to $1,000 each time it needs to be done. Lastly, you need to understand where your power is coming from. There is a lot of off-grid land in Central Washington, and it has some of the most spectacular views. But without power, the resale of your investment will diminish. It is very challenging to get lending on homes that don't have power. To get power to the property, you'll need to contact the local utility district, and you'll need to go through their application process. When you've done that, then once you've gone through their application process, they will come to the property and run the line. They will most likely charge you per linear foot, and rates will really depend on whether the line is going to be above ground or below ground. You can expect to pay anywhere from $10 to $25 per linear foot. Once the power has been brought to your property, you will then need to hire an electrician to come out and hook the power up to some sort of power box. Buying land is a dream for many, but it really comes with a lot of work. Remember, do your homework, inspect carefully, and plan for the long term. If you're looking for land in Central Washington, I'm Amanda Dallman, and I'd love to help you find it. Happy land hunting.